What were the cost of some common items, like a gallon of milk? Do you remember?
I don't really remember the milk. I remember the gas was 29 cents a gallon. And I remember going to grocery store with $10 you bought a lot of grocery home.
Not like now, of course. No.
Of course you make a lot more money now. But compare you used to get a lot more for your money in those days.
Do you think there was a culture gap between you and your kids?
It was a lot different because the way I grew up and the way my children grew up, it was a big difference. I didn't want them to grow up like I did, because I always had responsibility. I wanted them to have a little responsibility, but also I wanted them to have fun.
Because you felt like you didn't have as much fun.
I didn't, and plus, I want them to make their own decision. Not that I was sad or sorry that it was an arranged marriage, but I figure they're in this country now. They gotta, whoever they choose is gonna be their choice.
Even though you weren't upset with.
No.
Wait, okay. So when your kids were young, you did not work.
No.
But before that, you worked in a factory.
Yeah, a little bit. I worked a little bit before Victor was born, and a little bit after he was born, and then I was home.
Who babysat your children while you worked? Or were they in school?
Their father?
Okay. Did your mom ever babysit?
No.
No.
Because from my mother, she didn't come until almost 1960, and I came here in 53. So in those years, I didn't have nobody to babysit.
Would your aunt ever babysit?
Yes.
Okay.
But not too much.
Did you get along with your in-laws?
Well, my mother-in-law, which she lived in California, so we only saw her once in a while. She used to come and visit us, and we'd go there a few times. So what's not to get along, you know? With my father-in-law, a second wife, we had a little problem at first. It was not us doing. It was more like my aunt, she expect them to help us out financially, and they didn't. So it was a little friction at first, but then after for a year or so, but then we were fine.
Okay, do you want to tell us about Bobby? Whatever you'd like to talk about.
No. Well, in some way, it was more like the baby of the family. It's like you get more attached to it. Plus, it was when we had Bobby, Victor was 7 and Tina was 5, so there was a big gap in between. Yeah, and and my husband, he loved, their father loved all 3 of them, but then he had a little special. But your mother Tina was special too.
They were all special, right?
Yeah, they were all special. But maybe because in some way we kind of planned it, the first 2 pregnancy, it was more, it happened, you know, and with Bobby, it was more planned and happened. And maybe because when you get older, you appreciate more the children. He was a wonderful child, and what can I tell you? It was sad when we lost him, and he brought a lot of joy to our life. But life goes on. You know, life goes on, and you have other children to worry about it. So you cannot, you don't have no chance to be sad because hey, you got 2 other children that need you too. I feel sorry for people that only have 1 child because it's terrible. If you lose 1 child, you don't have nobody left. At least you have 2 other children to worry about, to take care of them, and the risk to get up in the morning. So in some way, it brought a lot of joy to us. And a lot of sadness when he was gone. You know, your grandfather, that year was a terrible year. He lost his father. He lost his job for 22 years, and we lost Bobby.
What year was this?
1971.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's about.
We'll switch gears.
Oh, okay.
So after you lived in Melrose Park, then you moved to Bellwood,
Yes.
near your mom and dad, who were also living in Bellwood.
No.
No.
When I moved from Melrose Park in 55, until 65, we live in Bellwood, different house. And my mother, when she came in 1960, they bought a house in Melrose Park. So the only time when I sold the house in 65, my mother bought a house in Bellwood in 1963. So she moved to Bellwood, but I was 20 blocks away from them. So when we sold our home, it was smaller, older. So then we looked for a house, and we ended up buying one a block away from my parents.
Which you lived in for how many years?
I lived there from 65 until 2002.
Okay. In 1978, you threw 2 weddings for your kids.
Yeah.
One for Vic and one for your daughter Tina. Tell us about those weddings.
Well, I didn't do too much. I only wrote check. Or your grandfather wrote check.
Were you excited to have 2 weddings in a year?
Well, I wish it wasn't. It was that year, Tina Vetro gave us a surprise anniversary in January.
Party.
Which I had planned to have a party, but then when they announced they were going to get married the same year, I said, I cannot bother people another time. But Tina and Vetro, they got together, and they threw us a surprise 25th wedding anniversary, because they got married on my 25th, the year, you know. So it was, they invited 70 people, I know nothing about it, it was very surprise, you know. But then for their wedding, Tina planned the wedding, everything, you know, kind of.
And how was it to have your kids move out of the house?
Well, that was kind of, in some way, was sad, because all of a sudden, you got 2 children, everybody goes in and out, and all of a sudden you by yourself. You know.
That was a hard adjustment.
Yeah, a hard adjustment. I was glad because they planned the wedding, they got married in a nice way, they both did a nice wedding, a nice family, so I was glad to that part. Victor bought a nice house before he got married, and your mother bought for them it was a little house, it was good enough to start with, you know, so I was happy for that. You know, I know they were happy, so I guess I had to be happy too.
How did you feel about your daughter and your son-in-law?
I always loved my son-in-law. Yeah, he always was good to us.
That was Gary, and what about Kathy?
Kathy, the same way. And we never had any bad words. We never had a misunderstanding. Now that I know.
So you're very happy with
Yes.
the way that went. And they moved. Vic moved to Roselle.
78.
And Tina moved.
She moved. She bought in 78. The summer of 78. They bought a duplex in Bellwood, on the same block that I was living, only a couple blocks south of me.
And during this time, where were you working?
For Warner.
How long did you work there?
I work from 68. I work from 65 to 68. I work at Hostess Cake, making Twinkie and cupcake.
On the line.
In 1965, it's when I went to work full time. I worked there until 1968. Then I quit over there and went to work at Borg Warner because it was close to home and I didn't have to work no holiday. I can just work.